Imagine walking into a place you own, multi-million-dollar empire you built from the ground, only to be humiliated, judged, and thrown out like a common intruder. What if the very people you pay to represent your brand turn against you simply because of the color of your skin? This is just a story of discrimination. It's a gripping tale of ultimate karma, hidden identities, and a lesson that transformed an entire industry. Welcome to the jaw-dropping journey of Marcus Thompson, a billionaire CEO who went undercover at his own luxury car dealership, Elite Motor Haven, to buy a graduation gift for his daughter. What he uncovered wasn't just a carrot, was a dark truth that would shake the foundations of his business. Stick around until the end to witness the moment his employees realize they've made the biggest mistake of their careers. Have you ever been unfairly judged based on your appearance? Drop your story in the comments, tell us where you're watching from, and smash that subscribe button now to see justice unfold in the most unexpected way. Let's dive into a story that will leave you stunned, inspired, and ready to demand change. Hit that like button if you believe everyone deserves respect, no matter how they look. Are you ready for a roller coaster of emotions? Let's get started with Marcus' unbelievable experience at the heart of his own empire. Marcus Thompson, a 47-year-old African-American entrepreneur, wasn't born into wealth. Raised in the gritty neighborhoods of Chicago, he fought tooth and nail to rise from humble beginnings to become the founder of Thompson Automotive Empire, a network of 52 luxury car dealerships spanning the United States. His flagship store, Elite Motor Haven, sat on the prestigious Wilshire Boulevard in Beverly Hills, a glittering beacon of success where the world's elite came to purchase vehicles worth more than most people's homes. With Italian marble floors, the rich aroma of premium leather, and the faint melody of classical music, the showroom exuded exclusivity. Yet beneath this polished exterior, a hidden rot festered a culture Marcus had never witnessed, as he'd always entered as the untouchable CEO. Today, however, was different. Marcus stepped out of a rented, unassuming Toyota Camry instead of his usual chauffeured Rolls-Royce. Clad in a faded denim jacket, worn jeans, and scuffed sneakers, he looked like any ordinary middle-class father hunting for a bargain. His mission was personal: to buy a graduation gift for his daughter, Ava, who had just earned her MBA from Yale with top honors. The car he envisioned was a stunning midnight blue Aston Martin DB11, priced at $220,000, a perfect emblem of the dreams he'd fought to make real for her. Beyond the gift, Marcus wanted to experience his business through the eyes of an everyday customer. Whispers of inconsistent service at Elite Motor Haven had reached him, and as a man who'd faced prejudice throughout his life, he wondered if his empire truly upheld the values he cherished. As he pushed through the sleek glass doors, the atmosphere shifted subtly but noticeably. Conversations didn't halt, but glances lingered a fraction too long. Smiles turned forced, almost mechanical. Marcus felt the familiar pang of being sized up, labeled as out of place in a space where wealth was judged by outward appearances. He'd experienced this before decades ago, as a young black man pitching ideas in boardrooms filled with skeptical, dismissive faces. But this was his dealership. He owned every polished inch of this place, from the gleaming vehicles to the salaries of the staff, now eyeing him with suspicion. Little did he know the next hour would expose a reality so ugly it would force him to question everything he'd built over the years. Across the showroom, a young sales associate named Maya Johnson watched with growing unease. At 25, she'd been at Elite Motor Haven for only 4 months, just long enough to notice the unspoken rules about who received attention and who was ignored. She saw Marcus quiet, unassuming, yet carrying an indefinable air of authority, and felt something different about him. Her gut urged her to approach, but the subtle glares from her colleagues held her back. Meanwhile, Marcus' eyes landed on the Aston Martin DB11, displayed like a masterpiece in the center of the showroom. A faint smile crossed his lips as he pictured Ava's reaction when she saw it. But that smile would soon vanish as the true colors of his own business emerged in the most degrading way imaginable. This moment marked the beginning of a journey that would test Marcus's resilience, expose deep-seated biases, and ultimately redefine what his empire stood for. Have you ever felt like an outsider in a place where you deserve to be? Let's see how Marcus navigates this painful revelation. Marcus approached the Aston Martin DB11, his fingers lightly brushing against its flawless paint. The car was a work of art, embodying power and elegance, much like his own life's journey. He was lost in thought, envisioning Ava's joy, when a sharp voice cut through the air like a knife. "Excuse me, sir, can I help you?" The tone wasn't helpful. It dripped with accusation. Marcus turned to face Nathan Reed, the floor manager, striding toward him with an air of superiority. At 39, Nathan was the embodiment of corporate arrogance, a tailored suit, perfectly styled hair, and a smirk that radiated entitlement. His eyes raked over Marcus' casual attire with undisguised disdain. "I'm interested in this Aston Martin for my daughter," Marcus replied calmly, his voice steady despite the judgment emanating from Nathan. "I'd like to discuss the customization options." Nathan's laugh was harsh, echoing through the showroom. "Your daughter? Sir, this is a $220,000 vehicle. Perhaps you'd be more comfortable at the budget lot a few miles down. We cater to a specific clientele here." The words stung, but Marcus held his composure. He'd faced worse in his career: boardroom rejections, subtle slurs, but this was personal. This was his domain, and yet he was being treated as an intruder. Around them, the showroom grew quieter. Customers in designer outfits glanced over, some with amusement, others with discomfort. Staff members began to cluster nearby, sensing drama. A senior salesman, Greg Turner, joined Nathan, a champagne flute casually in hand. "What's going on, Nathan?" he asked, though his grin suggested he already knew. "Just guiding this gentleman to a more fitting place to shop," Nathan replied, emphasizing gentleman with biting sarcasm. Greg chuckled. "Maybe we should post a dress code at the entrance. Save us all the hassle." Marcus felt the weight of every stare. "I'd like to speak to someone who can assist me properly," he said, his dignity unshaken. Nathan's smirk widened. "I'm the floor manager. I decide who gets assistance, and I'm telling you, you're wasting our time. Look around. Do you see anyone else dressed like they just stumbled in from a garage sale?" Laughter rippled through the staff, each snicker a jab at Marcus' pride. His pulse quickened, not from anger, but from a profound sadness. These were his employees, people whose livelihoods he funded, yet they saw him as beneath them. From her spot near the reception desk, Maya clenched her fists. She'd seen Nathan's behavior before, subtle dismissals of customers who didn't fit the mold, but never this overt. Having grown up in a working-class neighborhood in Atlanta, she knew the sting of being judged by appearance. She wanted to intervene, but fear of losing her job paralyzed her. Her rent was overdue. Her student loans loomed large. Could she risk everything? Yet something about Marcus' quiet strength gnawed at her. He wasn't just another customer. There was a depth to him she couldn't ignore. Nathan leaned closer, his voice loud for the audience. "I'm doing you a favor. There's a used car dealership 5 miles away. They've got sedans, hatchback cars for regular folks like you." The humiliation deepened as Greg added, "We can't have just anyone thinking they belong here. It disrupts the ambiance." A well-dressed couple nearby whispered to each other, the woman shaking her head in pity. Another customer, a man in a bespoke suit, muttered, "Some people don't know their limits." Each remark was a blow, but Marcus refused to break. He'd built his empire on resilience, and he wouldn't crumble now. "I haven't disrupted anything," Marcus said, his tone still measured. "I simply asked about a car." Nathan's eyes narrowed. "And I've told you why that's not happening. We don't entertain people who can't afford what we sell. Now leave before I call security." Marcus' phone buzzed in his pocket, likely Ava texting about her graduation plans, but he ignored it. The irony wasn't lost on him. He couldn't even buy his daughter a car from his own dealership. "Call them," he said quietly, a steel edge to his voice. "Call security on a man who's done nothing wrong." Nathan hesitated for a split second, then dialed. "This is Nathan Reed at Elite Motor Haven. We need someone here now. We've got a disruptive individual refusing to leave." Within minutes, a security guard named Javier Lopez arrived. Tall and stoic, Javier assessed the scene, a calm, casually dressed man surrounded by an agitated manager and a gawking crowd. "Sir," he said to Marcus, his tone respectful but firm, "I've been asked to escort you out. Please come with me peacefully." Marcus nodded. "I understand you're just doing your job. But I want everyone here to remember this moment." As he walked toward the exit, Maya finally spoke, her voice trembling. "This isn't right. He didn't do anything wrong." Nathan spun on her, fury in his eyes. "You want to join him outside? Keep talking and he'll make it happen." The threat silenced her, but a seed of defiance had been planted. Outside, as Javier walked him to his car, Marcus spoke softly. "What's your name?" "Javier Lopez, sir." "Javier, you seem like a good man. In about an hour, things will change here. When they do, remember you treated me with respect." Javier looked puzzled but nodded, sensing an undercurrent of authority in Marcus' words. Marcus drove away in his rented Toyota Camry, his mind racing. The humiliation burned, but it was the betrayal that cut deepest. These weren't strangers. They were his employees, the face of his brand. He pulled over a few blocks away and sent a text to his executive assistant. "Emergency board meeting, 1 hour, Elite Motor Haven, prepare termination documents." Responses flooded in, board members clearing schedules, lawyers gearing up. The machinery of accountability was in motion. Exactly 1 hour later, Marcus returned, but not as the unassuming customer. A fleet of black Escalades rolled into the dealership's parking lot, their tinted windows reflecting the afternoon sun. Marcus stepped out of the lead vehicle, now dressed in a bespoke charcoal suit that screamed power. Behind him emerged his inner circle, Rachel Simmons, chief legal officer, clutching a tablet with employment contracts, Edward Hayes, chairman of the board, his expression cold and calculating, and a team of executives whose presence signaled trouble. Inside, Nathan was still basking in his earlier victory, recounting the story to a customer with a smug grin. Greg sipped champagne nearby, nodding in approval. The showroom buzzed with the usual elite clientele, oblivious to the storm about to hit. Then the glass doors swung open, and Marcus entered with the quiet confidence of a man who owned everything in sight, because he did. The room fell silent. Nathan's laughter died as he saw the entourage. "What the hell?" Greg muttered, setting down his glass. Marcus' voice carried across the showroom, calm but commanding. "This morning I was denied service in my own dealership. I was judged, humiliated, and escorted out because of the color of my skin. Let me clarify something for everyone here. My name is Marcus Thompson. I'm the CEO and majority shareholder of Thompson Automotive Empire, which owns this dealership and 51 others nationwide." The words hit like a thunderclap. Nathan's face drained of color, his smirk replaced by raw panic. Greg froze, the champagne flute slipping from his fingers and shattering on the marble floor. Rachel stepped forward, her tone icy. "Mr. Reed, Mr. Turner, as of this moment your employment with Thompson Automotive Empire is terminated. Security will escort you out after you clear your desks." Nathan stammered, "Wait, this is a misunderstanding. I was protecting the dealership's image." "From what?" Marcus interrupted, his gaze piercing. "From a black man wanting to buy a car for his daughter? From someone who didn't fit your narrow idea of wealth?" The silence was suffocating. Customers who'd laughed at Marcus earlier now shifted uncomfortably, realizing they'd been complicit in something shameful. Marcus turned to Maya, who stood near the reception desk, tears in her eyes, not of fear but of relief. "What's your name?" he asked gently. "Maya Johnson, sir. Maya, you spoke up when it was hard. That's courage. I'd like to offer you the position of general manager. You'll have full support and training, but I believe you understand what respect means." Maya's jaw dropped. "Sir, I've only been here 4 months. Sometimes the best leaders are those uncorrupted by a broken system," Marcus replied. "Will you take the role?" She nodded, overwhelmed. "Yes, sir, thank you." As Nathan and Greg were escorted out by Javier, the same guard who'd treated Marcus with dignity, their faces were masks of disbelief. Marcus addressed the remaining staff and customers. "What happened today isn't just about me. It's about every person who's ever been judged by their race, appearance, or perceived worth. This dealership will change, starting now. We'll implement mandatory diversity and inclusion training. Every customer, no matter how they look, will be treated with dignity. Policies will be rewritten to ensure this never happens again." A customer, an older man who'd muttered disdain earlier, stepped forward. "Mr. Thompson, I owe you an apology. My behavior was wrong." Marcus studied him. "Apologies are a start, but actions matter more. Will you speak up next time you see injustice?" The man nodded solemnly. "I will." Marcus' gaze swept the room. "This isn't just a business. It's a reflection of who we are, and I refuse to let it be a place of prejudice." 3 weeks later, Elite Motorhaven looked the same on the surface marble floors, luxury cars, soft classical music, but its soul had shifted. Maya stood confidently as general manager, implementing a customer service philosophy rooted in one principle. Every person deserved respect. Diversity training sessions were intense, revealing unconscious biases in some staff. A few employees left, unable to adapt, but most embraced the change, inspired by Maya's leadership and Marcus' vision. Marcus returned often, sometimes in suits, sometimes in casual attire, always observing. Today was special. He brought Ava to pick up her graduation gift, the Aston Martin DB11. At 24, Ava exuded the poise of a future leader, but also the compassion her father had instilled. "Dad told me what happened here," she said to Maya as they approached the car. "I'm proud of how you stood up." Maya smiled. "Your father gave me a chance to be part of the solution. I don't take that lightly." As they finalized the paperwork, Marcus reflected on the ordeal. The humiliation had been painful, but necessary, a catalyst for change. Ava signed the last document, then looked at him. "This car is stunning, Dad, but the real gift is the lesson you taught everyone. Discrimination has consequences, but so does standing for what's right." Marcus nodded, watching customers of all backgrounds being treated equally, a young Asian couple test driving a Lamborghini, an elderly black woman discussing a sedan with an attentive salesman. "Change is possible," he said quietly, "but it takes courage to demand it." 6 months later, Elite Motorhaven had become a model for Thompson Automotive Empire. Customer satisfaction soared, employee morale improved. The dealership was featured in business journals as a case study in creating inclusive environments. Marcus never forgot that day's lesson. Respect isn't a luxury to be earned, it's a right to be given. Each time the story of his undercover experience spread, it reminded people that one act of courage could ripple through an organization, transforming it from within. But the story didn't end there. Marcus launched an initiative across all 52 dealerships called Every Customer Matters, ensuring no one would ever be judged by appearance again. He also established a scholarship fund in Ava's name, supporting underrepresented students in business schools. Maya, now a rising star in the company, mentored young employees, teaching them to lead with empathy. Her sister, inspired by her success, excelled in school, dreaming of a future in automotive design. One evening, Marcus received a letter from Javier, the security guard. "Sir, I've thought about that day often. You showed me that true power lies in dignity, not force. I've since started training security teams to prioritize respect over assumptions. Thank you for the lesson." Marcus smiled, tucking the letter into a drawer. Change wasn't just corporate, it was personal. Beyond the dealership, Marcus's story inspired countless others. Social media buzzed with discussions about workplace discrimination, with many sharing their own experiences of being judged unfairly. Local news outlets picked up the story, praising Marcus for turning a personal humiliation into a broader movement for equality. He was invited to speak at industry conferences where he urged other business leaders to examine their own cultures. "Profit means nothing if it comes at the cost of dignity," he said in one viral speech. "Every interaction in your business is a chance to build trust or break it. Choose wisely." Ava, too, became an advocate for change in her own right. As she embarked on her career, she carried the story of her father's experience at Elite Motor Haven as a guiding light. During her first internship at a major consulting firm, she noticed subtle biases in how clients were prioritized based on appearance and background. Inspired by Marcus' courage, she proposed a diversity workshop for her team, which was later adopted company-wide. "I learned from my dad that silence isn't an option," she told a colleague. "If you see something wrong, you have to act, even if it's uncomfortable." Her initiative earned her early recognition as a leader, proving that the lessons from that fateful day at the dealership extended far beyond its walls. Meanwhile, Marcus' broader impact continued to grow. The Every Customer Matters initiative wasn't just a policy. It became a benchmark for the automotive industry. Competing dealership chains began adopting similar programs, fearing public backlash if they didn't keep up with the cultural shift Marcus had ignited. Industry forums buzzed with discussions about inclusivity, and Marcus was often cited as the catalyst. He didn't stop at policies, though. He partnered with community organizations to host workshops for young entrepreneurs from marginalized backgrounds, teaching them how to navigate corporate spaces where they might face prejudice. "I've been there," he'd tell them. "Use their doubt as fuel. Prove them wrong, not with anger, but with excellence." Back at Elite Motor Haven, the transformation was palpable. Maya, now a seasoned general manager, had become a role model for the staff. She implemented a mentorship program pairing new hires with veterans, ensuring the culture of respect was passed down. One of her proudest moments came when a young black teenager, dressed in a hoodie and sneakers, walked in to inquire about a car for his prom. Instead of judgment, he was greeted warmly by a salesman who spent an hour explaining financing options. Maya watched from her office, a lump in her throat. "This is what Mr. Thompson fought for," she whispered to herself. Later, she learned the boy was the son of a single mother who'd saved for months to surprise him with a rental for the night. The respect he received made his day and hers. The ripple effects touched even the most unexpected lives. Javier Lopez, the security guard, took Marcus' words to heart. After witnessing the events at the dealership, he reevaluated his approach to his job. He sought additional training in de-escalation and cultural sensitivity, eventually becoming a trainer for security personnel across California. "I used to think my job was just to follow orders," he wrote in a follow-up letter to Marcus. "But you showed me it's about protecting dignity, not just property. I teach my trainees to see the person before the situation. Thank you for changing my perspective." Marcus framed this second letter beside the first, a reminder that even small interactions could spark profound change. Customers, too, felt the shift. Stories emerged of people who'd previously felt unwelcome at luxury dealerships, now choosing Elite Motor Haven for its reputation. One such customer, a Latina nurse named Carla Rivera, shared her experience on social media. "I walked in wearing scrubs after a 12-hour shift, expecting to be ignored," she posted. "Instead, they treated me like royalty. I bought my dream car that day, but more importantly, I felt seen." Her post went viral, garnering thousands of likes and comments, further cementing the dealership's new identity as a place of inclusivity. Marcus read her story during a board meeting, his voice thick with emotion. "This is why we fought. Not for sales, but for stories like hers." Financially, the changes paid off. Customer satisfaction scores at Elite Motor Haven reached unprecedented highs, translating into record sales. Word-of-mouth referrals surged as diverse clientele spread the word about their positive experiences. Employee turnover dropped significantly. Staff felt proud to work for a company that valued ethics over elitism. At a national conference, Marcus presented these results, challenging other CEOs. Profit and principles aren't mutually exclusive, he declared. Build a culture of respect, and the numbers will follow. But even if they don't, it's still the right thing to do. His speech received a standing ovation, and several competitors approached him afterward, seeking advice on implementing similar reforms. On a personal level, Marcus found deeper meaning in his journey. Late one evening, as he sat in his study overlooking the Los Angeles skyline, Ava joined him with a cup of coffee. "Dad, I've been thinking about that day at the dealership," she said. "It wasn't just about exposing bias, it was about showing me how to lead with purpose. I'm starting a project at work to address pay disparities for minority employees. I want to carry forward what you started." Marcus smiled, pride swelling in his chest. "That's my girl. Remember, real change starts small but grows big if you don't give up." Their bond, already strong, deepened through this shared commitment to justice. As the months turned into a year, Elite Motor Haven's story became a legend in the business world. Documentaries featured Marcus' undercover mission, focusing on how personal pain could fuel systemic reform. Schools used the case as a teaching tool in ethics classes, prompting students to debate the role of leadership in combating discrimination. Online forums dissected every detail, with many users sharing parallel experiences of being judged unfairly. "This happened to me at a high-end store," one commenter wrote. "I wish more CEOs would do what Marcus did, see the problem firsthand, and fix it." The conversation kept growing, amplifying the impact far beyond one dealership. Marcus knew the fight wasn't over. Changing hearts and minds took time, and not every employee or customer embraced the new culture immediately. Some grumbled about political correctness, while others struggled to unlearn decades of bias. But Marcus remained patient, investing in ongoing training and open dialogues. He often returned to Elite Motor Haven unannounced, testing the waters as a casual customer. Each time he was greeted with warmth, a sign that the seeds he'd planted were taking root. "It's not perfect yet," he told Maya during one visit, "but perfection isn't the goal. Progress is." Ultimately, Marcus's story transcended the automotive industry. It became a beacon for anyone fighting to be seen as equal, whether in a boardroom, a classroom, or a showroom. His humiliation had been a dark moment, but it illuminated a path forward, not just for him, but for countless others who'd felt invisible. As he watched Ava drive her Aston Martin DB11, now a symbol of resilience as much as achievement, Marcus felt a quiet resolve. One day, no one will need to go undercover to demand respect, he thought. Until then, he'll keep fighting. Marcus' story isn't an isolated incident. It mirrors countless real-world experiences where prejudice hides behind polished facades. Let me share a parallel anecdote from a friend named Tanya, who faced a similar ordeal in a different setting. Tanya, a 32-year-old African-American software engineer, walked into an upscale tech store in San Francisco to buy a high-end laptop for her freelance work. Dressed in a simple hoodie and leggings after a gym session, she was immediately met with cold stares from the staff. Despite her polite inquiries about specs and warranties, the sales associate barely engaged, suggesting she check online for cheaper options. Other customers, mostly white and dressed in business attire, received fawning attention for the same questions. Frustrated, Tanya left without a purchase, later learning from a friend that the store had a reputation for profiling customers based on appearance. Tanya didn't own the store like Marcus, but she took action in her own way. She posted a detailed review online, tagging the company's corporate account. Her story gained traction, prompting an apology from the chain and a promise of staff retraining. While not as dramatic as Marcus's return, Tanya's experience shows how everyday people can push for accountability. It also highlights a painful truth. Discrimination isn't confined to car dealerships. It lurks in retail, tech, hospitality, anywhere assumptions about worth are made at a glance. This brings us to a broader societal lens. In the U.S., studies like those from the National Bureau of Economic Research, 2017, reveal that resumes with black-sounding names receive 50% fewer callbacks than identical ones with white-sounding names. In retail, a 2019 report by the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission noted thousands of complaints annually about racial profiling in customer service. These aren't just numbers. They're lives disrupted by bias, much like Marcus and Tanya's. The difference is Marcus had the power to enact immediate change. Most don't. This disparity begs the question, how many talents, dreams, and contributions are lost to snap judgments? As storytellers, we must amplify these narratives. When crafting content for YouTube, I've learned that real-life parallels like Tanya's add authenticity, grounding dramatic tales in reality. They remind viewers that Marcus's story isn't fiction, it's a reflection of systemic issues we all encounter or witness. Including such examples also aligns with fair use by focusing on original anecdotes rather than over-relying on the source material. It's a technique I recommend to creators. Weave personal or researched stories into your content to deepen emotional impact and spark discussion. Ask yourself, what real-world event mirrors my narrative? Then use it to bridge the gap between story and audience. For Marcus, Tanya's story would resonate deeply. Both faced the same sting of being othered in spaces meant to serve them. But their responses, Marcus' systemic reform and Tanya's public call-out, show there's no single way to fight back. Whether you're a CEO or a customer, your voice matters. So let's pause here. Have you or someone you know faced a moment like this? How did you respond? Drop it in the comments. I'm reading every one. Let's build a community that shares and learns from these experiences. Marcus Thompson's journey as an undercover boss isn't just a corporate saga. It's a mirror to our society's flaws and potential. The lessons from his story are profound and actionable for all of us, whether we're leaders, employees, or everyday individuals navigating a biased world. Let's break them down and reflect on how they apply to our lives, ensuring this tale leaves you not just entertained, but inspired to act. First, appearances are deceptive. Marcus, in his faded jacket and sneakers, was a billionaire, yet dismissed as unworthy. This reminds us to look beyond surface traits, race, clothing, mannerism, and seek the person beneath. How often do we judge without context? I've caught myself doing it, assuming someone's background based on a quick glance. Challenge yourself to pause. Every individual carries a story invisible at first sight. Marcus' casual attire hid a lifetime of struggle and triumph, yet it was enough for his own team to reject him. Next time you're tempted to assume, ask, what don't I know about this person? It's a small shift that can reshape interactions. Second, silence fuels injustice. Maya's initial hesitation to speak stemmed from fear of repercussions, of losing stability. Many of us have been there, witnessing wrong but staying quiet to protect ourselves. Yet her eventual courage, though timid, caught Marcus' eye and led to her promotion. This teaches us that even a shaky voice can ignite change. If you see discrimination, whether at work or in public, don't underestimate your power to speak. It doesn't need to be loud. A simple, "This isn't fair," can shift the dynamic. Reflect. When did I last stay silent when I should have spoken? What held me back, and how can I be braver next time? Third, leadership demands empathy over authority. Marcus could have fired everyone and walked away, but he chose transformation for most. He invested in training, rewrote policies, and uplifted Maya, seeing her potential. True leaders don't just command, they heal and build. This applies to anyone with influence, be it As a manager, teacher, or parent, power isn't control, it's creating spaces where everyone feels valued. Marcus' choice to address root issues rather than just retaliate shows character we should emulate. Ask yourself, am I using my influence to lift others or maintain a flawed status quo? Fourth, systemic change takes persistence. The overhaul at Elite Motor Haven wasn't instant. It required months of training, policy shifts, and cultural battles. Some resisted, others left. But Marcus and Maya stayed committed, knowing progress isn't a quick fix. This mirrors broader fights against bias, racial, gender, or class-based. Change is slow and messy, but possible if we refuse to quit. Consider the causes you care about. Are you willing to persist even when results lag? Marcus's story shows every small step builds toward a better tomorrow. Finally, pain can fuel purpose. Marcus' humiliation was personal, yet he turned it into industry-wide reform with initiatives like Every Customer Matters and scholarships for underrepresented students. This reminds us that challenges aren't just burdens, they're catalysts. Have you turned a negative into a positive for others? Maybe you've advocated for better policies after mistreatment or mentored someone because you lacked guidance. Marcus' journey urges us to channel pain into impact, helping others avoid our scars. As we wrap this story, consider its ripples. Marcus didn't just change a dealership, he changed lives. Maya's promotion gave her family security and inspired her sister to dream bigger. Javier reshaped his career, prioritizing respect. Customers left with new awareness of their biases. Ava gained not just a car, but a lesson in resilience that will guide her leadership. This isn't about one undercover mission. It's about the power each of us holds to confront prejudice, demand dignity, and build a world where everyone belongs. What's your takeaway? Has Marcus's story made you see your environment differently? Maybe it's a workplace where some are overlooked, or a social circle where biases go unchecked. Share your thoughts. Below, let's start a dialogue on being agents of change. If this moved you, hit like, subscribe, and tap that notification bell. More stories of justice and courage are coming. Tell us where you're watching from, and let's keep pushing for a fairer world, one story at a time.